Hey, I'm Chris, and this is MMA for You. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for the Ultimate Fighter 23 finale, but before I get into that, I'd like to plug my own author's website at www.chrismoldon.com. You can buy uh, a few of my works. First is my first novel, which is an action adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Convict Kingdom for $4.99 at www.chrismoldon.com if you want to check it out on PDF, or if you have an e-reader, you can buy it off of Amazon.com. Also, for just $1.99, you can buy my short stories and short story collections, such as The Land of the Wooden Statues, which is a fantasy horror short story that I'm trying to make into a full novel. The Horror Collection, which is a collection of three of my gothic horror short stories, and my Fantasy Fable Collection, which is a collection of four of my Fantasy Fable short stories. So, on to this card. Main event was fantastic. The rest of the card was pretty not that great. There are a lot of grinders. There's a lot of fights that are real grinding. Sanchez Roundtree, Ferreira versus Smith, Stansbury Hendricks, Nicolau versus Moraga was not very good, and there were parts of Maynard versus Bruno that were just so sloppy. A couple cool finishes here and there, and some good performances. I thought Holbrook's looked good. I'm really liking what I see out of Tatiana Suarez. Dude, Choi is awesome. Li Lang, I noticed that guy is getting better, but man, I don't know if he's going to be some great prospect, but he is definitely now a solid fighter. As far as the bonuses go, we have young Jedrzejczyk versus Gadelha earning fight of the night, while Choi and Suarez each got performance of the night. My picks, not too bad. Actually, same as yesterday. 8 out of 12. Only missed 4. 4 I missed are Kevin Lee versus Jake Matthews. Matthews Nicolau versus John Moraga. Joaquin Silva versus Andrew Holbrook. And Andrew Sanchez versus Khalil Roundtree. The only one I'd really call egregious, and I kind of knew this coming in, I actually talked about it in the comments, was Andrew Sanchez versus Khalil Roundtree. I mean, that was just a case of like, I'm a pretty big fan of Khalil Roundtree. He seems like a cool guy, and then he hits hard, and I've seen it in the regionals, I liked his style. But like, Andrew Sanchez, like, even before, yeah, like doing the predictions, he's clearly the more experienced and well-rounded fighter, and he kind of showed it here. Otherwise, let's get started. Joanna Jedrzejczyk defeated Claudia Gadelha by unanimous decision. Two scorecards that were 48-46 and one scorecard of 48-45. I'm not gonna lie, I am actually really happy with the scorecards. I think the 48-46 was well deserved, and you see some pretty wonky judging. You know, First of all, my personal opinion, round four was a 10-8, and the guys that gave Joanna the 48-46 saw round four as a 10-8. Um, as far as a 10-8 goes, I think it can look like that. You don't necessarily need a knockdown or something like huge to dictate a 10-8. I mean, that was just a beating for 5 minutes with Gadelha doing next to nothing. Um, I totally thought that's a 10-8. I know some don't agree. They want to see a near finish. They want to see like this extensive damage that almost finishes a fight as a 10-8. I think round four of that fight could classify as a 10-8 as well. As far as the fight went, it actually kind of went how I thought it would. Gadelha had rounds one and two. She would bully her way into the bully her way and get Ioana's back against the cage. She got the double underhooks a lot and managed to get the takedown from the clinch. Now, this is not uncommon for Claudia Gadelha. Everyone's like, oh, well, she needs to work on the cardio. It's like, no, she needs to work on a way not to fight. So, or a way to fight more economically. It's not necessarily a cardio issue, but she wrestles a lot, and at times it can be more power over technique sometimes. Um, and also, she's just managed to get away with it. You know, she can pretty much blast double anyone. Um, she can pretty much take down anyone once she has them against a cage, and for the most part, she can stay on top of an opponent too. The thing with Jedrzejczyk is that she was never truly settle on the bottom. That's a really great ways of getting out from the bottom too. Um, there's a lot to like there. I was really surprised that Gadelha actually dropped Jedrzejczyk a couple times actually. One with a jab, one with an elbow. Um, it was just a case of her like it wasn't like dropped hard. I mean, the jab just got her on her ass, and pretty much she just scooted back. The second one kind of wobbled her a bit, or the elbow wobbled her a bit, but she never like truly made her do the dance or like really knocked her down per se, in a very hard way. Um, After that, Gadelha was gassed. Pretty much at the second half of the third round. The third round could have arguably gone to Gadelha. I'm glad they didn't give it to her because JJ just did so much more damage at the end of near like the second half of the third round. One thing you gotta like about Joanna is her movement. Her hand speed's really good. Her combination striking and her cardio. One other thing is she finds those elbows in that clinch and that transition period so well. She has some great elbows. Her knees aren't too bad either, but her elbows are actually a very underrated tool in her arsenal, because you mainly see her range strike, but when she's in close, those elbows, man, are quite devastating. Very potent weapon of hers. Um, Great fight, though, you know. Uh, but Joanna's got to move on. I would most likely I see her getting the winner of Namajunas versus Kalpakovic. Other people that are in the wings, Joan Calderwood's probably in the wings after beating Latornu. And honestly, one or two more fights, Jessica Andrade. I am very, very curious to see Jessica Andrade moving forward in the division. She just looked like a killer when she just dismantled Jessica Panay. um, so yeah, you know, there's no shortage of contenders at strawweight. Uh, you know, and also as far as like real threats to her, I think they're still there. I really think Jessica Andrade is probably the next big threat to Joanna and Jedrzejczyk. One thing about Jedrzejczyk is that she doesn't necessarily hit hard, and you gotta wonder about someone like Andrade. She just walks through punches, you know. Joanna's the more diverse fighter though, but you know it's just a really interesting matchup. Calderwood would be fun. I'd give I give a lot of edges to Joanna there though, and even like the winner of Namajunas versus Kalpakovic would be fun too. Versus Joanna, I think Namajunas would be the more potent challenger to Joanna, just because she has a submission game and her striking's really come a long way. Seems to have a low, like some power in her strikes too. So yeah, no shortage of challengers for Joanna and Jedrzejczyk. As far as Gadelha goes, she can get the loser of Namajunas versus Kalpakovic. Maybe Tisha Torres is coming out loss to Namajunas. Maybe Esparza, you know, even though Esparza is coming off a win. And sometimes you'll see like a winner get like the loser of a title fight. Next right after that, Andrew Sanchez defeated Khalil Roundtree to become the Ultimate Fighter 23 light heavyweight champ, winner. Scorecards are two 30-25s and a 30-26. Pretty much a grinding fight. Sanchez was able to get the single leg takedown on Roundtree quite a bit. and mainly just grind away. A little. Not. She wasn't doing much ground and pound that was fight ending, per se. Roundtree just did next to nothing, so I can actually understand the 10-8s there, just because Roundtree had zero offense at some points. It's pretty unfortunate. Roundtree's still a developing prospect, though. The guy's athleticism's good. He's really strong. He can get the grappling and takedown defense and the wrestling aspects of the game eventually. Sanchez is pretty well rounded. I'm actually very curious to see if he stays at light heavyweight or cuts down to middleweight. Same with Roundtree, actually. I think both of them might actually cut to middleweight. Um, so that should be interesting. Both should just get more lower to mid-tier guys with division. Roundtree in particular, probably another striking-based fighter. Next fight after that, Tatiana Suarez defeated Amanda Cooper by Jedrzejczyk in the first round. I am pretty high on Tatiana Suarez. I think her wrestling is really good, and then on top of that, she's a really good athlete. I would maybe argue that like right now, Suarez is the best like pure wrestler in the division. I would say that Suarez might give her a run for her money in that aspect of the game. And Suarez already looks like the better striker and a more natural straw weight. Whereas Esparza looks like she can cut down to 105. I also like that Suarez uses front chokes. You saw it in the Ultimate Fighter. She won one fight with like a guillotine and then a Darce choke. She's kind of tall and lanky, and just has a really good build for front chokes. And then she's a wrestler, so she gets into position to do front chokes a lot of times. So it's a really good like move for her to have. But yeah, her wrestling's pretty much second to none. Her scrambling and her ability to hustle is really good too. I can see Suarez really moving up the division quite quickly. Um, like say like Paige Van Zant, she was able to kind of rise up the ranks pretty quickly without this level of wrestling. Just being the harder worker. Suarez has a technique to go along with the work rate. Like I said, I'm really high on Tatiana Suarez. I see a really bright future for her. So, just more lower to mid fighters of her division. Same with Amanda Cooper. It's really tough to say because, I think this is only her third pro MMA fight. She has an extensive amateur background, but as far as her fighting pro, she has not fought in she didn't have a lot of experience yet on the professional level. So I gotta actually even wonder if she's ready for this level or not. We'll see. I'm not super high on her as a prospect or anything like that, but she looks like she could be pretty good. Next fight after that, Will Brooks defeated Ross Pearson by unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. It's not the best of Will Brooks' performance, but consider this. He took the fight on short notice, and it was his first fight in the UFC. Other thing to consider, too, Will Brooks was actually just striking with Pearson for the majority of the fight. So good, and, he ended up winning in a fight that was primarily a striking battle. So, yeah, that's still a pretty good look for Brooks, all things considered. Also, I really like Brooks' clinch work, and his clinch striking is really good. His knees and uppercuts and stuff like that from the clinch. There was one point of the fight where he straight up looked like Randy Couture. He would like get Pearson up against the fence, throw an elbow or throw an uppercut, go back to the clinch, throw a knee, go back to the clinch. I mean, he was just dirty boxing him really well. And then he'd get some pretty explosive takedowns on Pearson, too. Pearson acquitted himself really well, especially in that third round. But Brooks was just pretty much a more well-rounded fighter. And just a more, definitely the more explosive fighter as well. For both these guys, this is funny with Ross Pearson. I mean, this is like his ninth or 10th fight where it's like he's actually still at win loss win loss win loss, and it's been going on forever with Ross Pearson now. The guy just cannot get like a 2 fight win streak or 2 fight losing streak for that matter. Um, but yeah, I gotta wonder if Pearson in his next fight, if given like something with softball, and he ends up winning the fight because he seems to have a win-loss thing going on. Brooks, I still see a really bright future for him. I think I don't even think we saw the best Will Brooks, and I thought he was pretty good here, Um, at this point, I think Brooks, he already beat Pearson, and Pearson's a solid, like, top 15, 15 to 20 guy, maybe number 15. I don't think he's ranked, but I think he's like a 16 through 20 guy. He's already beat him in his first run to UFC, and looks pretty well rounded already. So, I think he should fight like some guys that are pretty high up there, or that good like mid-range level. I'm talking like the T-Bow level, maybe an Evan Dunham type, something like that. Next about that, Duho Choi defeated Thiago Tavares by TKO in the first round. So this is the third first round finish in the UFC for Choi. One thing about Choi is I don't know if he hits that hard, but man, this guy is accurate, man. That 1-2 he hit like in between Thiago Tavares' guard was just so accurate. And then if you actually see the punch that he hits in the final punch from pretty much a ground and pound style punch. Well, it's standing, but it was like right on the chin. This guy is very accurate. I don't know if he like I said, I don't know if he necessarily hits hard per se, but he's just so accurate. His takedown defense looks terrible though. His ability to get back to his feet though looked really good and real patient too. Frame, post get back to his feet. I mean that's it. It's just okay. Frame, so you block the head. Post if you can. Slowly get back to his feet. I mean that's what he did. You can see him actually literally pushing Thiago Tavares' head, which is like a form of a frame, I suppose. Or stiff arm, and then he'd just get back to his feet. I mean, it was really good stuff from Choi. I think from here on out, though, this guy should get some pretty high level competition. I really do. It's no more, time to take the training wheels off for Choi. In my opinion, if you're gonna have 3 first round finishes against progressively better competition, now it's gonna, you should maybe fight a Darren Elkins even. He's fighting Godofredo Pepe Castro, maybe even like a Kawajiri. Let's see how he does against these guys that will just try and take him down and just try and lie on top of him. If he can pass that test, that'd be great. Because at this point, I think Choi just needs to be tested more so than anything else. But so far, so good for him. Tavares, it's just kind of he is where he is. His chin ain't great. His ability to get takedowns against the cage is really good. But he's a very limited fighter, For him, just more lower to mid-tier guys in the division. Next fight that, Joaquim Silva defeated Andrew Holbrook by TKO, 34 seconds in the first round. What kind of sucks about this fight is I said in the predictions that I do not have a good read on Joaquim Silva and Andrew Holbrook. And after this fight, I do not have a good read on Joaquim Silva and Andrew Holbrook. It was a 34-second fight. I mean, he caught the kick, punched him, and that was it. There wasn't much. The only thing I have a good read on with Joaquim Silva is that he's real athletic. He has some good athleticism. So I kind of wonder how far that's gonna take him. He's a good prospect, but just more lower to mid guys in the division for both. Yeah, on the prelims, Gray Maynard defeated Fernando Bruno by unanimous decision. Maynard breaks his 4-fight losing streak. You know, I kind of wonder about Maynard because he wasn't getting too many offensive takedowns. I kind of wonder if his wrestling and our takedown ability has regressed, maybe due to injuries. If you keep getting knee injuries and something, you're not gonna shoot as well, for example. But once he was in like certain positions, wrestling ride, he was killing in that wrestling ride. That was old school Gray Maynard right there, and stuff like that. He looked good. The fight overall is pretty sloppy. Bruno throws. I can see why Bruno has no KO or TKOs because he has some really bad punching mechanics. Like even Brian Stan was saying, like, yeah, they look like slaps when he punches, and it's like, yeah, that's. In my opinion, I don't think that's a good punching mechanic. And then he kind of just wings punches too. So, but yeah, man, he looks. Bruno's pretty huge for the weight class. Maynard's pretty big too. If he can get like his wrestling really going, I think he might be able to bully a good amount of opponents at featherweight. But dude, his chin is such a liability these days. The days of yore when he can just be like this really monster wrestler, is really not there in MMA. Nonetheless, Maynard should just get more lower tier guys of the division. Bruno, sheesh, this is a 2-fight losing streak. I don't see his place in the UFC, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if they just cut him, because I don't know what value he adds to the division or the UFC in general. So, but if they keep him, just more lower tier guys of the division. Next right after that, Matthews Nicolau defeated John Moraga by split decision. This fight sucked. I mean, it's just so tepid, man. They were just throwing like one strike at a time, circling around, dancing around and whatnot. It was just a tepid fight. Did not like it all. And I gotta say, like, Moraga looked absolutely gun shy. It's crazy that he was ranked 6th in flyweight. Matthews Nicolau just defeated a 6th ranked flyweight, I suppose he gets a bigger step up in competition. I don't like Wilson Hayes. He's like 7th. He was supposed to fight, or 8th, and he was supposed to fight Demetrius Johnson. I guess that fight's off. Nicolau versus Hayes would be interesting. Or maybe you do Buggy Tune-Up versus Nicolau, because at this point, Nicolau just beat the number 6 guy. I guess he... And flyweight's just so small. I suppose that he fights top-level competition now, I suppose. Didn't actually expect him to win, because he's coming from a win over Bruno Correa, fighting John Moraga, but I didn't think Moraga would look this bad. Yeah. With Moraga, just give him some, he might be like the gatekeeper of the division at this point. I think he's been like that for a while, to be honest with you. Let's try that. Josh Stansbury defeated Corey Hendricks by majority decision. This fight was a grinder. It was just one of those fights. Standing, it was alright. Hendricks was always in the fight standing, but he seemed to gas. I wouldn't be surprised if he cuts down to 185. And then Stansbury was able to get on top, especially off Corey Hendricks' mistakes, and, grind out the win. It's more lower to mid guys of the division. If anything, with a guy like Corey Hendricks, I really think that guy can use some seasoning in the regional scene. I think he's a good fighter. I think he has some good potential, but I don't know if he's ready for this level of competition yet. So after that, Cesar Ferreira defeated Anthony Smith by unanimous decision. This is also a grinder. Ferreira was very much content to take down and not even excuse me, not even unload a lot of ground and pound. It's just lying. He almost just lied on top. And this is not the first time he's done this strategy. So I kind of wonder if he's going to keep fighting in this manner. It's probably good for him because he still sucks at boxing range. Still gets hit clean, especially like left hooks. Some guys just cannot defend a left hook. Cesar Mutanch is one. Corey Anderson's another. Jardines was notorious for not being able to defend a left hook. But, you know, Cesar Mutanch got his own 2-fight winning streak now. He's getting better about not getting hit, which is kind of nice. He's circling out better and whatnot. But, yeah, he looks like he's turning into a grinder at this point. It's more lower to mid-tier guys in the division for both. On the Fight Pass prelims, Kevin Lee defeated Jake Matthews by TKO in the first round. It's actually the first TKO victory, KO/TKO victory for Kevin Lee. Very surprising, too. This is a good one for Lee. I did feel that the stoppage was a bit early. I thought that Matthews was moving around enough and wasn't in this, like, crazy danger to justify the fight being stopped. But nonetheless, Lee pretty much just out-wrestled and out-grappled Matthews. I mean, that's really what happened. You know, he managed to take him down, stay on top, get dominant positions, and beat him up. You know, I was actually thinking that Jake Matthews was going to win this fight, as I thought he made a good amount of improvements, and it was, you know, not a bad grappler in his own right, but Kevin Lee was just a much better grappler. They're both still very good prospects. Lee, though, I suppose, is just a little farther ahead at this point. And I'd like to see Lee. He's on a good 2-fight win streak over Gadelha and Matthews. Maybe get a step up in competition at this point. With Matthews, just more lower to mid-tier guys at the division. And finally, Li Xinglang defeated Anton Zafir by knockout in the first round. I'm really liking Li Xinglang at this point. He looks solid. I'm not saying he's some great prospect, but he's definitely, risen above, in the sense that, like, I expected nothing from this guy, really. Fighters coming out of China, I don't have a lot of faith in them being, like, ready for this level, but Li Xinglang is more than ready. He strikes pretty well. He has some power. It's good ground and pound. And, yeah, he has some takedown, clinch, and takedown ability. I like what I see from him. When he fights other, like, mid-level guys, lower-level guys, I expect him to win most of the time. But, yeah, just more, like, mid-level guys of the division for Li Xinglang. And with Anton Zafir, I don't know if he has much staying power in the UFC at this point. Just lost to Mutazri in the first round, and now to Li Xinglang in the first round. So, that's it for my post-fight analysis for the Ultimate Fighter 23 finale. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And you can buy my works, starting with my first novel, The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99 at www.chrismaldon.com or on amazon.com if you have an e-reader. Or you can buy my short stories and my short story collections for just $1.99 on www.chrismaldon.com or at amazon.com. So, that's pretty much it for MMA for You. Thank you guys very much.